And now, the LSU Football Fix with Preston Guy, presented by TigerBait, starts now.
And welcome to your LSU Football Fix. I'm Preston Guy, staff writer at TigerBait.com. Join with me on this Monday night at 8 p.m. on the LSU TigerBait YouTube channel is not our usual co-host, Zach Nagy. He got some travel plans, disoriented, and he's not able to make it to studio today. But that's okay, because we were already going to have actually TigerBait contributor Garrett Ross. He joined on helping us do work. Now, he's a full-time reporter at Sikkim 365, one of our sister site for the Baylor site. So that worked out very well for us. Garrett, of course, is probably the man who is most familiar with LSU and Baylor's roster combined, probably than anybody I could think of. Maybe there's like Chip and Joanne out there knows it a little better, but I think he's going to be pretty good. Garrett, what's going on, man?
Good, man. I'm just right here actually at the hotel for the Baylor Hotel here in Houston, getting ready for the Texas Bowl. We did the 365 Sports Show here earlier. Mike joined us in the last segment to preview it. So we're getting ready to roll and get ready for this Texas Bowl here in H-Town. Yeah,
man. So you said Baylor Hotel. Like, is it like the team hotel?
Team hotel, yeah. We're here at the Hilton Post Oak by the Galleria. Chilling.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I remember I went to the Texas Bowl 10 years ago. LSU was in just as a fan. It was, I had just graduated college and I wasn't in the SID anymore. And I went and I accidentally stayed at the LSU team hotel. So it was a pretty cool experience there. And in general, the Texas Bowl is a cool experience. If any fans are out there seeing, they really do a good job making it, fun for the team. Did you get to catch any of the rodeo that LSU won?
I actually missed it. So I came in this morning, but I was kind of keeping up with it on social media, and I'm not surprised, dude. Like, LSU's full of country boys. You hear Whit Weeks talk, like, bro. Like,
honky badger
for that,
dude. He's made for it, man.
Dude, yes.
So LSU also won that rodeo in 2015, and it worked for the LSU Tigers to beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders and a little-known player by the name of Patrick Mahomes. We're going to talk about the game because this is a seriously interesting matchup for a number of reasons, none of which lesser so than LSU getting a good look at the future with a lot of players stepping up. That being said, Baylor's fired up for this game, aren't they?
They really are. I think Baylor's approaching this kind of like, I wouldn't say a Super Bowl is probably taking it too extreme, but they're taking this very seriously. And rightfully so, man. Like, you have an opportunity where you were coming into the season. All eyes were on Aranda, Dave Aranda, and is he going to make it through the year? And what they've been able to do, like their schedule was front loaded. Like, they played every tough team in the Big 12 to start out, and they didn't navigate that very well. They had an opportunity against Colorado. If you watch that game, there was just the really pathetic positioning that Baylor was in. And the Hail Mary and the Buffs were able to pull that off. But since that, they went into a bye week after the BYU game, I believe. And they've really turned a corner ever since then. They've been a totally different team. Sawyer Robertson, the quarterback, is clicking on all cylinders. They were able to really find the mold with their offensive line. And that's really been a game changer. You kick Sidney Fugar out to, I believe he's left tackle right now. And ever since that happened, like, everything gelled. And then Bryson Washington, the running back, started rolling. So, yeah, they're approaching this game as you need to cap off the momentum that you've built, finish strong, and carry it into next season. And they're already doing a great job in the portal, addressing some needs as well. So, yeah, they're taking this game very seriously, man.
6 straight wins for Baylor as well. I don't know if you could say this before the 6 straight wins, but it really looks like being patient with Dave and keeping him around after, 4-8 last year. So that's rough.
Yeah, it was rough.
And a lot of people thought in fact, I talked to one of the Sikkim guys, Drake Toll. I don't think he's there anymore. I was like, hey, are y'all gonna fire this guy? Because LSU needs a DC.
I can't tell you how many times last year doing the post-game show we had people calling in. Really at the end of the year, I would probably say like the last 3 games, it got nauseating because me and Paul Catalina were hosting it, and people were like, Dave needs to be fired. And I'm like, I don't work for Baylor. I'm not Mac Rose. I'm not going to fire him. I actually, as an LSU fan, know this guy is a freaking genius and know that once he figures it out and once they get their NIL in place, they're going to be okay. And, and the thing I kept bringing up with this dude was like, look at Dabo. Look at Dabo at Clemson. He's been there forever. And why did it work? They gave him time. Yeah. You can draw you can make all the criticisms now, and rightfully so, for the portal and how he's neglecting that. But, he got Will Helt, right? Like LSU was in the mix to get Will Helt. He got Will Helt, and he's got a couple of other guys. So, I think that Dabo's a good example of it. Like when you kind of look at Aranda, is you need to be patient with people and give them time to work out. Because we've seen it too many times, right? Like you hire a coach and within 2 or 3 years, you're firing them. Well, what's going to happen? All the recruits they brought in, are they going to fit the next guy's system? Probably not. So you just put yourself behind the 8 ball, and Baylor just needed to be patient. They needed to let Dave work. I think he over the multitude of staff changes he's made, that's the one thing you can't hold against Dave Aranda. He's going to own his failures, and he's going to address it. Now, if he wasn't doing that, fire the dude. But he's doing it. He's addressing every issue. He changed offensive coordinators. He took over the play calling on defense, which has been significant this year. He brought in the offensive coordinator, Jake Spavital. You got in Keenan Hall on recruiting. Like he's totally changed the dynamic, man. And if you would have fired him last year, you wouldn't be here right now.
I mean, and look, he's got the 22nd rated portal class right now, which is not.
He absolutely does.
Not bad at all. Look, we're going to get to my rundown a little bit. I'm going to give y'all a bit of what we're doing tonight. But before we do that, I got some interesting comments I want to put up. Count Dim Money Homesick playing NCAA 14, waiting to hear Preston and Zach's sweet voices grace my ear. Okay, don't tell my wife. But then we have to follow that up with a great comment. Zach's not here. Now, the only thing that can keep me alive is hearing about celebrity theaters, bar, and arcade. Well, you're at the right place. You came to the perfect place to hear about celebrity theaters, bar, and arcade, because they are the title sponsor of your LSU Football Fix, making everything we do at this show possible. They are Louisiana's only locally owned and operated theater with locations in Baton Rouge and Ruston. Because they are locally owned and operated, you're guaranteed to see a clean facility, better pricing, superior customer service, state-of-the-art technology, and of course, the Baton Rouge location has an invigorating arcade featuring over 50 games. It's the largest in town. I personally love taking my son to this arcade and just letting him go to town, man. It's got a bar featuring wine, beer, frozen drinks. Of course, it's got the oversized leather reclining seats and the Dolby Atmos 3D sound system for when you're looking to go to those premium movies. Look, man, when you get a segue like that into an ad, you take it. Absolutely. Every time, man. Anyways, if I seem a little tired or out of it today, guys, or if you see the redness in my face, there's a reason for it. Went out to Catfish Lake in Houma, Louisiana. I was up at 4 a.m. getting out there. We got some good fish. Look at that haul in, baby. Look at that. Man, I was going to town today.
You gonna cook them up this weekend?
Someone will cook them up. It will not be me. But someone is cooking them up for me. I will eat those fish, though. That's the story behind that. So pretty hyped up about that. So if you notice the redness, tiredness, whatever, it's just there. We're struggling through together. Me and Garrett were talking about, how we kind of, reporters don't really get like holidays or days off. Not really. But it's been kind of like a holiday we've been on for the last week because news is kind of slow, waiting on the bowl game. Portal news is slowed down. Of course, we're going to talk about LSU has the number 1 portal class in the country. Very impressive job. And that's continued to get a little more impressive, by the way. We'll talk about why that's a little more impressive with LSU pulling in Josh Thompson. Of course, Brian Kelly today talked about wanting to get more guys in, but it's possibly going to be we're probably going to have to wait a little bit because, they're going to be patient and wait for the right guys. He definitely says he wants more offensive linemen, so let's show some patience. And talk about this bowl game. Absolutely going to talk about this bowl game. Baylor, 3.5-point favorites. If I'm not mistaken, LSU opened as 2.5-point favorites. So that's a line that's moving. And we're going to talk about why, including talking about LSU and their players who are out and Baylor who doesn't have much of anybody out. And of course, I kind of want to talk to y'all a little bit about the outlook for LSU's next season, if we get time to touch on that. And of course, LSU's NFL news, which, boy, plenty of LSU guys balled out for LSU. We got plenty big news items to talk about there. With that being said, give me 1 second here. I got to put something on the screen. We're going to talk about Josh Thompson, but before we dive too deeply into Josh Thompson, we gotta get to the real hard hitting fact on him. Let's see, where do I have it here? All right, guys. Mike Scarborough put this out there. Josh Thompson would picture next to me, and I got tagged in this guy's commitment at least half a dozen times. People saying looks like me. I personally took it another level. I think maybe Preston in college, maybe.
Closer.
I'm 15 years older than the guy. I don't know. And then of course everybody just called me emo kid there. So I guess question du jour is, are the allegations accurate or are y'all not seeing it?
I mean, it looks pretty legit to me, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Either way you run it, whether it's looking back towards college or now, it's almost like if you took in between, he's like the perfect merger of the doppelganger.
Between the two. Yeah. No, I'm like, I clearly look a good bit older than him. There's no doubt in my mind. And he's definitely in better athletic shape. There's not even a question in my mind about that. But there were some people who said, do you Garrett, I don't know how close you follow our market. Do you know T-Bob Abear?
Oh, I love T-Bob.
Yeah, T-Bob's my guy, but they were saying it looks like a merger between the two of us. And then,
It kind of does. I can see that a little bit.
I was like, I kind of see that a little bit more, as weird as that is to say.
You though, the T-Bob. I think T-Bob was just trying to jump in on it.
Yeah, no, right. Right. Well, here's the deal. He probably has like T-Bob's like hair style a little closer. But I mean, I get where people are coming from, especially the eyes and the facial shape. But anyways, there's just
he got T-Bob's athleticism.
Yeah, T-Bob's athleticism. He's probably closer to T-Bob's stature, athletic ability, size, speed, all that good stuff. Physically, much more T-Bob Abear. Right. Okay, I played offensive line, but I wasn't like good. Okay, so about 4 inches shorter than that guy. So anyways, because that guy is good and about 4 inches taller than me, LSU finds himself with a pretty good offensive lineman. It bumps them up to that next level. That they took the number one spot in the portal rankings. And if you look at the 247 rankings of players, which I find, man, quick side note, whoever figures out how to do transfer portal star ratings that makes sense is going to make a ton of money, because it's like everybody's either a 4-star or 3-star.
Yeah. And everybody you get is they're such a great get. Like every single time.
Yeah.
Like, bro, why did they leave? Like, I mean, there's so much to this. Like, but every edition is magnificent.
Okay, so are you old enough to remember? You're probably about my age, anyways. Do you remember before they had online recruiting rankings? Mm-hmm. Do you remember following recruiting? It was like you'd read the newspaper.
Thomas, like scouting them?
Before Scout. That's what I'm saying. I mean, look, Scout was awful. That was such an awful.
I remember Scout. I don't remember like prior to Scout.
Okay, so before that, it basically like you didn't have star ratings on players. It was like, oh, this guy's all district. Here's what he accomplished at this level of high school. And you kind of had to like self-evaluate based on the details. I feel like that's back to where we're at with the transfer portal because nobody's figured out how to give you good evaluations on these portal players. It's like all four. But anyways, LSU has the most four-star players in the country. That's big news. LSU has invested greatly in their Bayou Traditions Collective, which I'll take this opportunity to talk to you about our TigerBait partner, the LSU Bayou Traditions Collective, which I think is a pretty cool partnership to talk to y'all about because if you're an LSU fan and you want to help LSU get the best players, there's an easy way to do it. Support the Bayou Collective. We're so proud to announce this partnership with the TigerBait Collective or the LSU Bayou Traditions Collective to help provide NIL opportunities to selected LSU student athletes. Of course, remember, all contributors who support the Bayou Traditions Collective through the link in the description of this video, you're going to get 4 TAF points for every $1,000 contributed. And these are going to count toward your lifetime philanthropic totals. That's a great partnership that the Tiger Athletic Foundation partnered with the Bayou Traditions Collective to help work in synergy. Donating as simple as visiting the link in the description of our video, selecting the fund you would like to contribute to. It doesn't have to be football, by the way. You can pick which sport you want to donate to. I know we have a lot of avid basketball watchers who love to come watch this show and support football, but I know there's a lot of people who are basketball for it first who watch this. So if you like that, go for it. If you want to set up a recurring payment, that is now an option that they've added by popular demand. So guys, help to make the Tigers great today. Help them win with the Bayou Traditions Collective. That's a pretty cool sponsorship opportunity, right? Pretty cool partnership we've lined up.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like everything they're doing, man.
Boy, these collectives are a mess. How is Baylor's collective? Are Chip and Joanna Gaines doing work with it, or what's going on there?
I'm not sure if they're involved at all, to be honest with you.
Really?
So what it is GXG, and they've done a really excellent job of putting things together. If you go back and look, like we talk about it all the time, like Baylor did not do a good job coming off the Sugar Bowl year and making it to where you took advantage of NIL and were able to carry the momentum. They were kind of hesitant at the time, and it really kind of set them back last season to where it was just an abysmal year.
Yeah.
And then they kind of really got into it this year. Aranda was really uncomfortable. Mac Rose, the AD, was kind of – I think really what it is with Baylor is all of the stuff that went down with Art Browse, they're real like nervous to do anything outside of the box. So when like Texas and A&M and freaking Cody Campbell and Texas Tech are like literally throwing oil money left and right, players, like Baylor was like, okay, well, we're going to wait and see how the government's going to handle this. And obviously they've never stepped in. So it hindered them. And they kind of went all in, changed their philosophy. GXG has done a great job of putting the finances behind the program, and you're starting to see it pay off through the transfer portal. It kind of like, if you go back and look last year, like DeQuan Finn, they brought him in from Toledo to be the quarterback, the starting quarterback. They gave him a bag, bro, and he didn't do anything with it. So the money's there.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where they were kind of behind the 8 ball. They were playing a little cautious, and but they're right there and they're rolling, man. They got a good thing going with the NIL.
Yeah, you would think Baylor has access to some serious funds somewhere. I mean, they at least have to be in that Texas oil money conversation, right?
Well, no, Baylor. The odd thing with Baylor is like they're more of like a law school. So you have like Drake McClain, who the stadium's named after. I believe he did some ownership with the Astros, I believe, a while, or the Spurs, one of them. Anyway, They got like some big money people, but they don't have like the oil tycoons that other schools in the state.
Yeah. So no Larry Ellerbeast in there.
No, they don't have nothing like that.
Yeah, no, man. Some of the stories you're hearing with some of these kids, which, one of the things that's standing out to me about these, okay, some billionaire steps in and buys a kid. It's almost like a one-off situation in most cases. Now, there's certainly, every Texas player gets a Lambo or whatever going on there, but there's exceptions to this. But it's like, What is, you look at Michigan, what they did with bringing Bryce Underwood in, but what else are they doing with their roster that's really making
Doesn't that
huge
benefit
waves?
LSU though? At the end of the day, like I know it sucks. Like I know it
Yeah.
sucks to lose Bryce, but you had I don't know. I don't know the number specifically. I know LSU was in the ballpark with Michigan and the 10 that they put up. I would say LSU was probably throwing 8 at him. I don't have the inside scoop on that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, all of that money that didn't go to Bryce is going to the transfer portal.
Yeah. Which, by the way, there was some speculation that money was pledged for Bryce Underwood.
Right.
But after digging into it, no, there was no specific Bryce Underwood pledged money. LSU still had that money. So, yeah, the short answer is I don't like to sugarcoat losing a kid. You do this long enough, and don't those cliches of when you lose a player just start to drive you nuts? Well, he wasn't good anyways. Well, the 3-star from Louisiana is better anyhow. Well, we want it's like, okay, come on. Just you lost a talented player. It sucks, but do your best to recover. And that's kind of been my take on Bryce Underwood. He's a fantastic player. He is electrifying, and he has a cannon, and you really wanted him. But the answer to your question is, does it help LSU? Next year it does.
Right.
Next year it does, because with the way we were looking at it is, okay, you're going to bring in Bryce Underwood, you're going to bring in an insanely talented recruiting class, and you're going to give these guys some time to develop. And next year might be a bumpy road, but then 2026 is the year where Brian Kelly needs to perform and make the playoffs before pressure starts to mount. Well, now you don't have to worry about the narrative of, we're getting Bryce Underwood up to speed, ready to play and all that. You have a 5th-year senior quarterback who just threw for 4,000 yards, by the way. Yep. You have this portal class that's really good, and you still have a lot of those studs from that recruiting class. So kind of for next year, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that 2026 would look better with a Bryce Underwood.
Well, I get that, but also at the same time, I think I'm adjusting my mindset to it's a year-by-year basis with these rosters. So I don't want to look out like 2 or 3 years ahead anymore where, I think we're conditioned to do that, right? Like you would say, okay, you got Bryce Underwood. He's going to be here for 4 to 5 years, et cetera. And you can build around that, but that's not guaranteed. Like LSU could have literally paid him. He could have got homesick after 1 year. Then you're out a large chunk of money and he's back in Michigan. So to me, the way I'm approaching this is a year-to-year basis. You did everything. You were able to take that money and solidify your roster for next year to focus on making a run for the playoff and the national championship. And that's how you got to go forward now. And I think a lot of people are still having to adapt to that because it's new and it's foreign to us. But that's realistically where we're at right now, man. Like you cannot bank on your whole roster being like, okay, for instance, LSU right now, you have all these people that come in the portal, right? You have one tight end on your roster and Trey Dez. I'm pretty sure you're going to get another tight end in the portal somewhere, but you're also going to have another portal open up in the spring. So who's to say the guys you brought in are all even still going to be?
Oh, wait, you talk about portal windows. There's a 5-day window after a playoff team's season ends,
Exactly.
And right now it's playing it patient. They're not done yet, but they've done an excellent job. Jack Bauer, I love the tight end they brought in from Oklahoma. You need another tight end.
You do. Because
here's your deal. Trey'Dez Green is awesome. Elite receiving threat as a tight end. We don't know what he is as a blocker. We'll go find out tomorrow. Okay. Right. We go get a real good look at that. Okay. JD LaFleur, that's a guy who is going to be a developmental prospect at tight end as a true freshman next year. I don't think you can count on him for reps.
No.
And then Jack Bauer, great. That's a great, but Brian Kelly's offense is not one predicated on having 2 tight ends ready to play. You need to have more. So you need to go there. You need 2 safeties. And Brian Kelly said today he wants more offensive linemen. There was some scuttlebutt about him settling for just the 2 offensive linemen they brought in, which great offensive linemen. I love Thompson, and I love Braylon Moore, who they brought in for Virginia Tech to be a true center. But, they're clearly not done. So, just show some patience here. I think they're gonna wait. I think that of the kids in the portal, I think they've gotten who they wanted, and they've done an excellent job. There will be more. Absolutely. Is that a Pittsburgh Pirates hat I see?
So it is. So I tried to figure out how I can come down here and low key still be my LSU fan without my business. Skeens, brother. That's how we go.
There you go, Paul Skeens. God, what a guy, Paul Skeens, man.
He's a legend, man.
What a it gets to the point where he's so good at life.
Yeah.
I start to hate him.
You get envious. Like this
102 fastball, MLB Rookie of the Year, national champion, dating Livy Dunn. I mean, my God, what a jerk.
Got it going.
What a jerk. Anyways, you know who else is starting to get to that status is Joe Burrow.
Yes.
All right, I got to touch on what NFL LSU did this weekend. Joe Burrow is having a season for the ages. I don't care if he's 8-8. What a wild year. 42 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's 11th in NFL history in passing touchdowns, and there's another week to go. He joins a company like Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Dan Marino as the only guys with 42 touchdowns or more. Oh, and by the way, he gets Sports Illustrated models to house sit for him. Oh, by the way, he bought a Batmobile.
He bought a Batmobile, did he really?
He bought a Batmobile. That's right.
Jesus.
He got his offensive lineman katanas for Christmas.
That's so awesome.
And he's starting to get to the Paul Skeens status where it's like, dude, you have to stop doing awesome things before I'm going to hate you. This is not, but I guess if he misses the playoffs, I guess. All right.
Yeah, you gotta put your standards somewhere.
Jaden Daniels pretty much secured Rookie of the Year last night.
Ooh, I'm a Washington fan, dude. I love it.
And do you remember the guy who said Jaden Daniels would be holding a clipboard if he were in Washington? Do you remember that last year?
I remember that fella out in the West Coast. I sure do.
Well, I made sure to tag him and say, hey, boy, it'd be a shame if Michael Penix and Jaden Daniels played tonight and someone reminded this guy of that tweet. Anyways, and then to top that all off, and this next point that I'm making about NFL LSU kind of always drives home why LSU will always be a pretty special job in college football. I'll argue top 5. LSU had broke the record, the NFL record this weekend for most receiving yards in a season from one school. A record held by 1995 Miami. Okay. With just under 6,000 yards receiving from guys like, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors. It's uncanny.
It's something special, man.
So, and I also want to bring up the top. All these guys are from Louisiana. The top 4 leading NFL receivers, I saw this on Reddit, all from Louisiana, all within 120 miles of each other in South Louisiana, right where LSU's at. Now that includes CD Lamb, but also not included in that number guys like Devontae Smith, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. Not in the top 4. It's just it's uncanny the amount of receiving talent that this state has produced in the last 10 years. And frankly, it started way before then, but it's crazy.
Have you seen a flip? I've been curious on this. Has there been a flip locally on the development of receiver talent compared to the development of DB talent? Because it seems forever there, like Louisiana, like LSU always had legit DBs year in, year out. You had good receivers, don't get me wrong. But it seems like something's flipped in the water there locally where they're producing at a clip receivers that surpass the DBs. I don't know if that's 7-on-7, modern evolution of football, but I've kind of kept an eye on that the past.
It certainly has been the case for LSU recently. Right. And it's a theory that I would want to keep a close eye on. Is it just an enigma that LSU's gone 5 years without being able to pull in a good DB? But it's also a theory that could be self-explanatory.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, the good DBs are all playing receiver now, right?
True.
And 7-on-7 could be a good explanation of it. The development of the spread offense could also be a good, because I mean, these high school teams execute these air raid spread offenses very well now. Yeah. Whereas, back when I played, or probably a little before that, I mean, probably 80% of teams were like running the freaking veer. Right, yeah. So it's, I mean, I hadn't heard anybody present that to me, but you could understand why it would be a real thing. I'll monitor it over the next couple of years, but I think you might be onto something there. Certainly it's the case for some guys.
Right.
I mean, you think Jamar Chase couldn't play DB?
Oh, he could have, but I mean, why would you put him at DB?
Les Miles tried to make him do it.
Well, that's Les Miles. We need to bring
he took a shot at Les Miles. Les Miles had Jamar Chase committed to Kansas.
Yeah, he did.
Unbelievable. Oh boy. Let's get to a few comments here. John Smith. Nobody wants to lose to Baylor. Come on, folks.
Say that. He's right.
And then he says LSU is a 3-point. No, LSU's a 3.5 dog. Did I read that wrong?
Yeah, Baylor.
LSU's the 3.5. Yeah. That was sometimes I'll like be doing show prep and I just misread something. But let's see here. Hey, look, this kind of is a very simplistic way of explaining what we're talking about, the theory and play. All the guys that used to not be able to catch can catch now, which if you think about it, the way it used to be is, wow, you are a freak of nature athlete. Can you catch this? Nope. DB.
Go to DB.
Can you catch this? Wide receiver. It used to work that way. But he's probably making, I mean, that also, it's so.
Like, LSU's offensive philosophy has changed too. Like, because remember, it was always like run first, and then
you're going to give us PTSD, man.
Like, it's been totally different. So I think there's a litany of reasons to why, but it's just something to keep an eye on.
It's a theory again because it explains itself.
Right.
It is one that would kind of give you some fear. Let's see here. Did anybody? Oh boy. All right. Well, since we're on NFL SU talk here, Jaden Daniels had a fantastic game. A generational talent, or too early to call? I don't like throwing generational out.
I wouldn't call him generational talent. I think that if people like Lamar Jackson didn't exist, then maybe you could say that. I would say he is a unique special talent who is in the right system with Cliff Kingsbury calling the plays, and he's only going to get better, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's generational.
Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels have such a similar skill set. Generational. I mean, look, generational is a term in and of itself. Does it have a true definition? I mean, you of course once in a generation, but okay, you need to layer in more context after that. I would avoid that and say it's too early to tell, but I'll say this. You want to talk about potential? I think he's every bit the runner that Lamar Jackson is.
Yep.
And I think he's got a better deep ball. I think he's a better downfield passer, and that's frightening. I think he has more raw talent than Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is the better quarterback. I think he was the better quarterback at LSU. But that being said, the talent is frightening. The potential for Jaden Daniels to be a all-time great is definitely there. I will agree that it is. I'm agree with the GOAT here. It is too early to say it's generational. It's too early to say he isn't generational. I mean, that's true too. But again, the Lamar Jackson thing. If Lamar Jackson wasn't in the league already, and NFL MVP, because frankly, look, Lamar Jackson will be the NFL MVP this year, and it will be his second NFL MVP. And they're players of a similar mold. There was an argument that before maybe Jaden Daniels makes Lamar Jackson not generational, because if you think about it, before Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick, so it's like there's your generational players in that mold, right? But, then there's an argument. They're 10 years apart, right? 10 years-ish apart. Maybe it is two separate generations. Again, it's a sticky conversation. All I'm going to tell you is Jaden Daniels has no ceiling.
He easily could be the best quarterback Washington has had.
Joe Theismann?
I mean, he has potential to surpass that. Now, they need to put more weapons around him. Like, I'm a big Terry McLaurin fan. He's a great receiver, but I think that Terry McLaurin on most teams would be like a number 2, whereas he doesn't have like a star, So once they get more weapons in there, I think that Jaden's going to have more opportunities. But I think he's going to be just fine. And another thing, too, is like how long can Washington hold on to Cliff and him be able to kind of like speak that talk into Jaden's ear and make it work? That's something that could be of note as well. But I think he's in a great position, and I think he's got the world in front of him, and he's one of the best. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, period.
Yeah, and I think he's already top 10, if not, right up there with him. I mean, my goodness. It's good to see LSU guys truly being elite quarterbacks. And, Chris, the best part about it is we get to watch them we don't get to watch them for 2 years like we did at LSU. We get to watch them for 10 or 15.
Well, the best part is actually being able to talk about LSU quarterbacks and being good.
Boy, remember the graveyard, the Les Miles graveyard of quarterbacks? It was unbelievable that the conversation, man. If LSU could just get a quarterback, man,
I swear, if LSU would have been able to get quarterbacks, they would have what Alabama had. I believe that's the only thing that held them back in the Saban run was not being able to get quarterbacks consistently. I will die on that hill. On that hill.
I read a comment one time, and it always stuck with me, and it's that a good quarterback is smart. A smart quarterback won't come play for Les Miles. It was like, it was
brutal, but
I mean, tell me it wasn't true.
It was damn true. Absolutely was.
We're able to argue if one of our NFL quarterbacks is better than the other, and I used to pray for times like that.
That's what I'm saying.
That's such a good comment.
Perfect. Man.
That's such a good comment there. Doug Williams. Okay, all right. I wasn't even. I'm not super well versed in Washington quarterback history.
Super Bowl. I wouldn't say he's the best. Well, you know what? I think RG3 had better talent, but was completely screwed over.
Oh, I mean RG3
by the Shanahans. Like that whole system was. I'll never forget watching them play the Steelers, and they drew up a play where they sent RG3 out for a pass, and I believe it was Ike Taylor took his head off, and I was like, okay, they do not care about this man's future or liability whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's always scared me about Jaden's career is he's so thin and he takes hits. Understand Jaden is never going to be the guy who, when the game is on the line, he ain't putting the team on his back.
Oh, he's going to.
He's gonna do what it takes, even if it means jumping over a 6'5", 275 outside linebacker who's about to demolish him. He'll do it. He's going to do it because it's what he needs to do to win the game. And that scares me, man. The RG3 bad juju, I swear to God, if they make the playoffs and he gets hurt in the playoffs, I'm done with Washington. They deserve to be a nameless football. Go back to the Washington football team. You're destroying great because RG3 could have been a great NFL player.
He had the potential. It was just not, like I said. And what sucked too with that was he grew up a Broncos fan and loved Shanahan, and then he got into it and it was just total disaster.
Such disrespect for Mark Rypien. Well, hold up, guys. We're really forgetting Jason Campbell, if we're being honest. Auburn, great, man. Was he the quarterback of the 04 undefeated Auburn team?
He was. Him and Cadillac when they got
Cadillac.
I'll never understand that, dude. They were undefeated. You're sitting there. You have Texas and USC. Texas, USC end up with it, but hey, whatever.
That was the system back then. That was the year where the BCS probably failed us the most.
I think it was.
Well, that in 2011, but okay, but that's a discussion for another day. Anyways, great year. for LSU. We're going to touch on, I'm going to get to an ad break real quick, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about young players stepping up in new roles for LSU. We're going to preview the game and see how that impacts. One of the things I'm looking forward to is talking about these young players stepping up into what role, and then I'm going to cross that with Garrett, and he's going to be able to tell me who they're going to be facing, what kind of obstacle they'll be facing. I think he'll be well prepared for that. Anyways, let's get to our ad break, and I will be right back. Of course, guys, y'all know who the title sponsor of the show. You see the logo right up there. It's Celebrity Theaters, guys, and they got weekday specials making it more affordable than ever to go see them. On Monday is Senior Savings Day, where you get $5 off admission for patrons over the age of 55. Bargain Tuesday, where it's discounted movie tickets and concessions for all. Then you get Wednesday is College Night and Arcade Night, where you get half-price arcade games for all patrons. And then $5 per ticket after 5 p.m. for college students. And Thursday, where you get your discounted beer, wine, and frozen drinks at the Baton Rouge location only. All right, let's see here. Of course, guys, one of the things we try to do at TigerBait is partner with locally owned operations like Struby's, located on 107 3rd Street in downtown Baton Rouge. Guys, we're so proud to add into our lineup this year because they pride themselves on providing a 5-star dining experience for a reasonable price. Struby's is locally owned with ownership in the building, taking a level of pride in their food and service you're not going to see from any corporate establishment. Struby's features a full menu, especially meats, including USDA Prime Black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And for those looking for something outside of red meat, they offer items such as the dry-aged pork chop, black truffle lobster pasta, redfish, and plenty more. Maybe I should bring some of those redfish I caught today to them and see what kind of job they can do with that. Book your reservation online tonight at strubys.com. Make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. Alrighty. And of course, guys, I got to tell you about, we'll do this one. How about that? How about the new Christmas graphic? It's still Christmas time at Alumni Hall, guys. Guys, make sure to go check out the number one place to shop for LSU fans, Alumni Hall, located in Perkins Row, guys. We talk about the best, being a great place to get your officially licensed gear. It's legit and all that. But, you can also save good money there by using the promo code TigerBait, all one word, TigerBait. You can do it online or in store, whatever you like. And you're going to get 10% off your order. And that's on all gear, including the new Nike gear, Champion, Johnny O, On Reserve, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, hats, Yetis, accessories, all the goods. Or if you want, they still have the LSU gold jerseys available. So y'all go check out our friends at Alumni Hall. Let's hear from Rejuvame.
At Rejuvame, we specialize in medically monitored hormone and weight loss therapy, giving you the energy you need for all life's challenges. Let us be your age-defying clinic. Restore me, refuel me, Rejuvame. RejuvameMedical.com.
Transform your health journey with Rejuvame Medical. Discover personalized treatment plans with weight loss medications and hormone therapy designed just for you. Begin a new you today at RejuvameMedical.com. All right. So Brian Kelly, of course, talked to media today and talked about some young players he expects to step up into new roles. Of course, he talked about Weston Davis, who I don't think he's going to get the starting role at offensive tackle, but we'll see. They were talking about putting your right guard out there, Miles Frazier at right tackle, and then putting Bo Bordelon at right guard, and we'll see how that shuffle goes out. But he also talked about Tyree Adams, Weston Davis. Tyree Adams likely will be your starting left tackle. But right now, your offensive line, you got Will Campbell out, and you got Emory Jones out. Looking like Mubinga at left guard, DJ Chester at center, like he's been all year. Bo Barlon right guard, right tackle Miles Frazier, and Tyree Adams left tackle. Possibly Weston Davis in the mix as well. Garrett, what kind of defensive line and front seven are these guys going to be looking at Baylor?
You're going to look at a team who is going to rotate a lot of guys up front. You're going to have a big guy, Linus Noel, as your nose tackle. You're going to have Garmin Randolph coming off the edge. You're going to have Matt Jones and Keaton Thomas flying in from your linebacker position. They're really good. Matt Jones is a 6-year guy coming out of Odessa Permian for anybody out there who's watched Friday Night Lights and all that. He was one of those mojo cats. The secondary has gotten better. It's been kind of an Achilles heel all year long. You had Carl Williams, who suffered an injury early on. He's been back. Caden Jenkins had missed some games. He's playing great ball right now as well. One person that did hit the portal out of the secondary for Baylor is Corey Gordon Jr., so he's not going to be there for them. But up front, LSU's going to see just a lot of pressure, a lot of trying to a lot of blitzes. Aranda's going to draw up some key blitzes to try to get Matt Jones and Keaton Thomas involved. So to me, if you can get Caden Durham going on early and Nuss can get comfortable with picking apart the secondary, which I think they legitimately can, they're going to be fine.
Really? Going to be fine. Well, one thing that scares me is he also talked about Kylan Billiott stepping up a receiver. LSU has 3 proven receivers and 1 proven tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Baylor's had problems at their secondary, but let's put it like this. LSU's receiving core probably looks like Aaron Anderson, who's been your number 1 guy this year. Chris Hilton. Have you been following Chris Hilton's escapades throughout the year?
I have. He's been kind of hit or miss for me.
Right. So it's like consistently inconsistent, right?
I would draw a comparison, like a Baylor comparison for him as Monterey Baldwin. I like to call Monterey one play Monterey because like you've got all this hype and speed and talent, and he might get you 1 or 2 plays again. That's kind of like how I look at Chris Hilton.
And then Xavion Thomas, who's been more of like a gadget, So, I mean, yeah, look, you got great receiver help on the way. Barry and Brown from Kentucky, love that. Nick Anderson from Oklahoma, those are going to be good players, but they're not playing this bowl game.
No.
You got Kyron Lacey's heading to the NFL. He ain't playing. That hurts you quite a bit. And, you lose CJ Daniels to the portal. And you're thin. So being that is the room, and I assume you're familiar with those 3 names with LSU, I mean, do you think that these guys could have what it takes to challenge Baylor's secondary?
I mean, I think they can challenge it, but at the end of the day, like that receiving core is no better than what Colorado's is. Like at Colorado, like Baylor did a good job.
Minus Travis Hunter, I assume, right?
Yeah, I mean, like across the board, like I think like Baylor was able to hang with them and honestly blew it because of piss poor coverage on the Hail Mary. I think Baylor's secondary can hold up, but I really do see a lot of explosive plays available. It's just a matter of if Nuss can be consistent and accurate down the field.
Yeah,
that's the thing too is like how clean is his pocket going to be? Because even at times when you had Emory and Will Campbell out there, he was under pressure a lot. And to me, I would love to get your opinion on this. I was at the A&M game. And when Garrett Dellinger went out, man, I don't know if people have put an emphasis on how important of a loss that was. And I could be totally wrong on this. But that offense has not been the same since.
No, it hasn't. No, I mean, it hasn't. Now, worth noting, Mobenga, who came in for him for that game, and he was dreadful. Okay, the true freshman coming in, and I get it, but he has improved throughout as the years gone on, but it's not the same. It just has not been the same, and you got to fix it. That's why you're going to the portal and trying to get 3 or more offensive linemen. That's per Brian Kelly today. Now, I'll say this, helping out the receiving core, the fact that Trey'Dez Green is an elite receiving threat does help out. It'd be nice to have that elite receiving threat be consistent on the field, but you also understand Mason Taylor hogged so many of those tight end reps. So that won't be the case. So I guess when talking about the offense for LSU, it's definitely not an ideal setup based on what Baylor's going to be giving them, but there's some reason to believe in these young guys. And there's some reason to really like that you're giving them a chance, an audition, so to speak. Can Xavion Thomas be a full-time receiver? Is Billiott gonna be your 4th receiver, and is he gonna hold on to that role? or is he going to prove he's ready to play?
Is Anderson wide receiver 1 right now? Like essentially is
Aaron Anderson? Yes.
Yeah, is he going to come in? Okay.
Yeah, he would be wide receiver 1. I don't see it particularly. I mean, they might use him situationally in different spots than how Kyron Lacey would be used in. In fact, they will use him differently, but he's going to be your number 1 guy. I mean, he's your leading receiver for the year. He had more yards and receptions than Kyron Lacey, was way more consistent Kyron Lacey. In fact, one of the things we've talked about this year a good bit is who's going to be the guy who shows you a flash, right? So I don't know if you remember Jamar Chase as a freshman before he popped off. He wasn't a great receiver yet, full in terms of being, but he showed you flashes where you're like, whoa. Same thing with Justin Jefferson. Same thing with a lot of these guys where they're showing you some flashes. And I think Aaron Anderson's the one who's like, yeah, he showed some flashes this year. Maybe he could be knocking on the door of something special. But it'll be funny, Anderson and Anderson next year, because Nick Anderson's pretty good in Oklahoma too.
He is. He was pretty good. Like I was interested because we had somebody from A&M on, and when Nick Anderson we had Owen Buchanan on, and when Nick Anderson was looking between A&M and LSU, he had made a comment about, well, A&M's going to pass on this receiver because he's not fast enough for what they were looking at.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, okay. And immediately thought of that has to be Nick Anderson. Like he's a possession receiver. But I think he fits for what LSU's going to do, because he's not going to, like you mentioned there, like he's not going to be asked to be the number 1 guy like he was for the Sooners. He's going to find his own mold and essentially become like Theo Weiss was before he moved to Missouri for them. So I think it works. I think it's a great get for LSU with Nick Anderson.
I mean, it's a needed one too, because this receiver, you see how thin it is right now.
Yeah.
It's very thin. And, you didn't bring in a receiver who was from the high school recruiting class who was like, all right, that guy day 1.
Right.
You had one committed. You had DeCorian Moore.
Yeah.
He would have been that guy. But
quack,
man. But that Phil Knight money. I hope Oregon wins it all this year, and that NIL money for them dries up, because he's like, I just want to win a championship before I die. Take my money. And of course, John Smith's here saying NIL has destroyed college sports. Just ask Coach Saban.
I don't agree with that.
Stretch. Okay. Can we agree it's destroyed some parts or diminished some parts?
I think it's destroyed. I think the transfer portal and the multiple portal moves has done more damage than NIL.
I think that there's a 3-pronged problem with college football right now, in the postseason of college football specific. Early signing day, which makes your coaches abandon your team.
Yep.
Transfer portal, which makes your players abandon the team, which also has a December window as well. And then NIL, it compounds all those problems. I don't know that the NCAA has the power to fix it, but these are problems. That being said, is the sport not exciting?
Oh, it's very exciting. To me, there's more parity now. It's funner, because you can't sleep on anybody. You can't have Alabama and Georgia hoarding starters. You know what I'm saying? It's made it more fun. You freaking SMU come in and make the playoff. You can argue that all you want to in the first year. It's we haven't seen this. I think it's fun.
That, and of course, this argument doesn't hit the same, being that first round of playoffs was an absolute stinker.
We've had blowouts across the board.
Of course we have. Of course we have. Okay.
Sucked.
Remember Michigan State, 38-3 or whatever against Baylor. Blowouts happen. Especially with a good football team involved, one team just comes in and can very easily kick ass. TCU, Georgia. I don't know that the sport itself is destroyed. I do know that for casual fans, which, by the way, is the overwhelming majority of fans, keeping up with 40 new players a year, 40 in, 40 out, is unsustainable.
I think I can't speak for you, but for me, I have trouble keeping up with It's ridiculous, man.
Dude, ask the people on this show how many times I screw up names. And it's not even that like, okay, I'll know the guy. I'm just like, I say a wrong name. I probably said someone's name wrong today and I didn't even cross my mind. It's part of that is because there's so much rotation going on. And people trip up all the time, even if it is your career. Think about this. If it is your career and you are paid, you're paying your mortgage to know these names and players and all that, and people are still tripping up. Imagine the casual fan who just wants to know. It is an unsustainable problem. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Guys, do me a favor. Let's get in the chat. Go ahead and put your prediction for the game. We've talked about the situations. I do have to ask him about Deshaun Spears and how that situation is going to go, but we're going to do that. We're going to make our predictions for the game and we're going to wrap up the show, but let's get into our final ad break before we do that. So get your score predictions in now. Guys, of course, as you've heard each and every ad break on the show all season long, our show is made possible by our title sponsor, Celebrity Theaters. Guys, if you're looking to book a private movie screening or corporate party or just arcade party, guys, give them an email, events@celebritytheaters.com, or go to www.celebritytheaters.com/events to look into booking your private event. All right, let's hear from Genesis, and we'll be right back. Man, I've done that like 3 shows in a row because it looks just
Drive in style and luxury with a new Genesis from Genesis of Lafayette. Buy a 2023 Genesis G70 3.3T Sport Prestige Executive Demo and pay only $39,870. Buy a new 2025 GB70 and take $2,000 off the MSRP with value owner, competitive owner incentive, plus finance for 2.99% APR for 60 months or 3.99% APR for 72 months. Don't forget to start your shopping online by visiting genesisoflafayette.com.
There's a reason they sell more Genesis than any other dealer in Louisiana. For the very best buyer experience of a new or luxury SUV or sedan, call them toll-free to set up your test drive, 877-856-2961. Tell them TigerBait sent you in. And guys, we're really proud to add to all of our TigerBait live shows this year, Capital City Grill. How many times you've heard me talking about looking for local owners taking pride in their service that we know can endorse to provide a great experience. I had some friends in from out of town this weekend. We were going to go do some things downtown. I knew just where to take them out. It was Capital City Grill. We went there this weekend. Man, we ordered my friend ordered the Wagyu strip and mac. It was fantastic. We had tons of great food there, guys. We finished with a dream cake right before heading out, and it was an awesome experience. Very proud to take my own friends and family out to this restaurant when we're looking for a good time. Guys, located on 100 Lafayette Street in downtown Baton Rouge, Capital City Grill is your ideal lunch and dinner stop for a casual dining experience. Capital City Grill features a variety of sandwiches, burgers, seafood, pastas, and steaks, with almost everything priced at $30 or below for an affordable experience. Don't forget to celebrate a Tigers win at their Sunday morning brunch, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Book your reservation online tonight at capitalcitygrill.net. All right. One of the underlooked things is LSU's defense and guys rotating out for this bowl game. I'd say the most notable position you're looking at is LSU's going to have to start a true freshman, Deshaun Spears. Now, look, I don't know if you're too in tune with the amount of hate that Sage Ryan got during his career at LSU, but probably most fans are probably happy to see that. But he is a true freshman safety back there. What does Baylor have to be able to take advantage of a true freshman safety deep back there? And is that a concern?
It should be a concern. Baylor has Josh Cameron, who is really an amazing story, man. Like, he was a walk-on wide receiver who has emerged as their without a doubt, number one guy. He's a deep threat. He's also their leading kick and punt returner. So he is a problem. You have Ketron Jackson, who was a transfer last year from Arkansas. He has never really reached his full potential, in my opinion. There's still some work there, but he could be a deep threat that can cause some havoc. Ashton Hawkins is a guy who they brought over from Texas State. He was in this system for Jake Spavital. Spavital was the coach there before G.J. Kenny took over for him. as Spavital headed out to Cal to be the OC before coming to Baylor. And then you have Hal Presley, who was committed to Baylor. He went to Auburn, then he came back. So he's a threat as well. They have some key playmakers that could pose some issues for LSU secondary. It's a matter of just being consistent, and I think they can do. Like, their offense has really become one of the best in the nation over the past few weeks. They're putting up ridiculous numbers. They're really explosive. Like, I'm not just hyped. They are extremely explosive.
So that could be a problem then.
It definitely can be a problem for them. And then you also got to worry about Michael Trigg, the tight end who was at Ole Miss. He got in some issues earlier on in the season. He had to miss a game. He was suspended. And since he came back from that, he's been a totally different player. So Baylor has weapons to exploit LSU secondary. And I really do expect a big game from Sawyer Robertson. Like, the kid is a legit – there's so many qualities between him and Garrett Nussmeier that are similar. And I think Sawyer's a better runner. I think he has a better pocket presence than what Nussmeier does. So Baylor has some weapons, man.
Let's get to the fan prediction tonight. Even BK messes up the names on the teams now. Yeah, that's true. LSU 27, Baylor 20. That's from Spectrum Wellcare. Let's see here. Cautious optimism is the way forward. I appreciate that, Anthony Kelly. As a fan, you're 100% right. As a reporter for TigerBait.com, I don't have to have optimism. I can be as negative as I want. Let's see here. 27-24 LSU. Go Tigers. That's from Big Stat Kelly. 35-28. I'm starting to notice a trend here. The fans like the Tigers in the comments. Travis Wilborn, 31-27. 38-0 from JTF. There's your optimism right there. One quick question. Does the amount of opt-outs for Baylor mean that they're just committed or not that talented? I'll let you handle that one.
Baylor doesn't have many opt-outs. Baylor has – look, dude, they're not like – they don't have the pound-for-pound athlete that LSU has. But what they have is a lot of worker bees who know how to do their job, and they're extremely efficient at doing it. And that's what makes them dangerous. Now, LSU has everything. And as far as if you want to just put player for player, talent for talent, yeah, LSU's got that. And I think more so at the linebacker position. But I could put Baylor's receivers up with LSU's. I literally just said I could put Sawyer Robertson up against Nuss. I could put Bryson Washington, the running back, up against Caden Durrell. Like, he's freaking legit. Like, so, yeah, they have weapons, and they don't have a lot of opt-outs because they have a lot of players who bought in and are coming back for next year. So that's what it is. The people who – they don't have any opt-outs for this game.
That sounds like really good culture to me.
It is. It's a great culture. And that's the thing is Aranda established this, and he caught a lot of flack for it because, like, the identity was person over player. Well, that sounds great, and it's a great philosophy to have, but when you're winning 2 games, that's going to bite you in the ass. Like, you're going to be like, why didn't you do this? It's person over player, blah, blah. And then you start to complain, well, is our NIL deal? Well, everything's in place now. You've got the NIL. You still have that culture of person over player. And even when they were down, that's the crazy thing. Like, this is another reason why I didn't want to say Aranda needed to be fired. The locker room didn't quit on him. The players never quit. They were buying what he was selling. It just wasn't working. Now you've got the offensive coordinator in there. You've got the right players in there, and it's clicking. And, I mean, they're a dangerous team for the we'll do our predictions in a minute, but they can beat LSU.
We're not going to do our predictions in a minute. We're going to launch them right now. Give me your prediction for the game. What you got for me?
On our site, I took Baylor. I took 38-35 Baylor. If LSU wins, I would, as a fan, I would love it. I'm not going to lie to you. I would freaking love it. And I think they can win. But the interesting thing to me is, does this delay, this week off and leading into this, did that kill Baylor's momentum? That's one thing I'm curious about. If that killed the momentum that they built going forward into this game. But I think if Baylor can get in and Baylor can get their offense clicking, given the deficiencies within LSU secondary, there is an opportunity for Baylor to put up big points in this game.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be because I like LSU having a lot of people coming back. I like that you had some upperclassmen when Nuss said, I'm coming back. I'm going to play. I like that you have Whit Weeks. I like that you have Braden Swinson coming, Greg Penn. Like, you got the key people there. So it should be a fun game. I think there's a lot of similarities between these two teams right now. And honestly, even if LSU was full board with everybody on, I still could see Baylor beating them. And I could see LSU winning. But given the circumstances, given this matchup, I'm going to ride with Baylor 38-35.
If LSU finds a way to win this game, I will be riding quite a strong hype train for LSU going into the next season, because that means a lot of these young guys who are in roles stepped up and played very well against a good football team who was red hot. And, look at guys like Tyree Adams. He's a guy who's probably going to have to step up and start. Now,
Davion Trevino.
I mean, yeah, Taviano, Spears in his role. Talk about Mabinga, I would be ecstatic if LSU found a way to win, because I'm looking at this roster and the guys who you're asking to step up. And these are guys who you've been looking at all season. And frankly, the reason they're stepping up is guys who have struggled on the field for LSU this year were playing above them. So Taviano and Spears, they were playing behind the guy who LSU is happy to run out of town and happy to see pack up and go to Ole Miss, Sage Ryan. And there's a reason for that. Now, kids do grow up before your eyes in football. That's one of the greatest things about covering this sport, is a kid who is young all of a sudden has the game of his life in a bowl game, and that's what hype is built around. But based on what I've seen, I don't think LSU wins this game. I don't. I think Baylor takes the win. Look, if LSU wins this game, trust me, I'm not going to be sitting here pouting or anything like that. I will be beating on my chest telling you this is a team to buy into next year, because a lot of these guys who were in this game, you're actively looking for portal players to replace them right now. Not replace them, but maybe start over them, so to speak. And that speaks volumes to me. But if these guys go out and show you, we can beat a Big 12 team who's red hot, we can go get a win, then all of a sudden it's like, well, shoot, these portal guys coming in make you very confident. And then you think about getting guys like Harold Perkins back next year. And anyways, I will take Baylor to win this game, and I'll take Baylor by a touchdown, to win this game. But that being said, I think it'll be very fun regardless to see how these players step up, how much pride they show in the program, and how many of these guys are going to roll over dead and say, nah, just bring in a portal guy to take my spot next year. And how many of them say, no, sir. Anyways, that's been our show tonight. I appreciate all y'all for watching us each and every week on Monday night on the TigerBait YouTube channel. We will be back next Monday after the season ends. Of course, this show is the football show only show. We roll all the way through February. So we'll take a hiatus after that, but y'all can keep watching me and Zach each and every Monday night. Me and Mike will be on tomorrow after the game, whenever that ends, about 90 minutes after the game or whatever. We'll be live. Y'all come see us tomorrow. And then Wednesday, Mike and Buddy return for their weekly show. So y'all make sure to hit the bell, subscribe. We just hit 34,000 subscribers on our channel this week. So I'm very proud, and I appreciate all of y'all's support. But also, y'all give Garrett some love, because unlike a lot of guests we have on here, he's going to be tweeting about something you're going to be watching tomorrow. So y'all make sure to give him a follow. Garrett, can you tell the people your social handles?
Yeah, I should have put it on there. It's @_Garrett Ross. So go check me out.
@_Garrett Ross, right? Yep. Y'all give him a follow and keep up with him. He's doing great work. And of course, you could see all his work he writes for TigerBait on TigerBait.com. He's doing plenty of recruiting updates for us, and we plan on having him do a lot more work in the future with us. Garrett, thank you for joining us. Guys, thank y'all for watching. Everybody have a great evening, and y'all enjoy the bowl game tomorrow, and have a safe New Year's Eve tomorrow, okay?